Welcome to the Employer Branding Show, interviews with employer branding and recruitment practitioners to help you kickstart your own hiring efforts. Today, we are joined by Maja Kvrgić Zigic, the employer branding specialist at Nordeus, who are a mobile games developer. Maja, very good to have you on the Employer Branding Show today.
Hi, James. Thank you for the invitation. I'm really excited to just talk to you and also to hear other people afterwards what they have to share.
Awesome. So let's kick it off then. Maja, for those of us who don't know who you are or what do you do, who are you? What do you do at Nordeus?
So my name is Maja and I'm employer branding specialist at Nordeus, which is a mobile gaming company based here in Belgrade, Serbia. And Nordeus is 12 years old, and we became part of the bigger family, let's say, last year, which is a company Take-Two, Software Interactive. We have 180 employees currently, and we are all pretty much based in Belgrade.
Okay, I didn't realize that you were all in Belgrade. I thought you might be.
We are hiring globally. But for now, everybody's in Belgrade, and that's it.
Wonderful. So you're the employer branding specialist at Nordeus. Are you the only person in employer branding?
So I'm part of the team, which is called communications team, and I'm there together with my colleague Sarah, who is in charge of social media channels. So she is we call her social media wizard. So shout out to her. And we work really, really closely with our talent acquisition team. So we are part of the bigger team that we call the people team, and we work closely with talent acquisition, HR, and leadership team.
Awesome. Yeah. And how long have you been doing employer branding? How long has Nordeus been looking at employer branding? Because a lot of companies just recruit, and then they think, oh, we need to do some employer branding, and then it happens. But when did that happen?
Exactly. So I've been in this role officially for 2 years now, almost 2 years. Mm-hmm. But I joined Nordeus in 2017. I've been in Nordeus for 5 years and 4 months, let's say. And I had a chance to go through different roles at Nordeus. So I was not just in this role. So I started as expat experience specialist. As I mentioned, we are hiring globally, so we were moving all the employees together with their families to Belgrade, Serbia. And I was in charge, and we had a lot of them, so I was in charge of their relocation experience and their experience in Belgrade. And after a while, I took over the role of engagement specialist, which means that I was in charge of internal events, activities, recognition programs, well-being programs. And after a while, there was a need to set up employer branding strategy. We did have something, but nothing was really on paper, let's say. Nothing was official. And then it was a very logical next step for me. It was time for me to apply everything that I was doing internally in the company to now apply it externally. And I jumped at the chance. And when I saw the position, I was like, this is really it for me. Yeah.
Wonderful. It's so interesting to hear that, because everybody I've encountered in the employer branding space, everyone's come at it from different angles. Yeah. Some people have come from branding, some people have come from recruitment, some from marketing or social media. You from coming from internal events and onboarding and community. That's really interesting. And also the other thing as well is every company seems to have employer branding in a different team. I'm a big advocate for it sitting under recruitment, for example. But other people have it in marketing, other people have it in internal comms. So that's a really fascinating to see how you've evolved into that role.
Yeah, we have it in teams. So in the people team, we do have internal communications, we have recruitment, we have external communications. So my team And it's been a process, but we are trying to kind of figure out where it fits perfectly. But what is non-negotiable for us is working with the talent acquisition team or with recruiters, and they're working very, very closely to them. It's like one of the main pillars for us, and it is just something that I will never take for granted.
Fantastic. It's good to have those relationships with them. And what's happening with Nordeus at the moment that you're thinking about from a growth perspective? So you're at 180 at the moment. Where were you when you how many people were in Nordeus 2 years ago when you started with employer branding?
So we're always pretty much the same number of people, but we are looking to grow up to 250 currently. Okay. Yeah. So that is the number that our leadership team also would love to kind of limit themselves to, because we are a very tight-knit culture, and we would love everybody in the company to know each other. And they really want to keep that going. In terms of, let's say, there are always like new projects, there are always new challenges. The market is changing really, really fast. Especially, I think, in the last 2 years, local market in Serbia and, let's say, globally. So currently, we are looking into refreshing our communication towards senior talent, since we will have a lot of amazing projects that will help us deliver more amazing mobile gaming experiences. So we are really looking into that right now.
Fantastic. Okay. And how does that work with the larger brand as well? Like is it Take-Two? So do they get involved in that messaging piece at all, or are they more kind of...
Yeah, so we're kind of I think it's like a double-edged sword, but I would say that we are lucky in that sense that we kept our independence in every way possible, especially because I think every market is very specific to themselves, and you need to know the market really well. So yeah, for us that's been just amazing to keep working the way that we are working, and to like ask for help if we need it. But yeah.
Wonderful. So in your role as the employer branding specialist for Nordeus, how do you approach employer branding for Nordeus? To take me through it.
So as I said, like we work on two main pillars. One of them is like working really closely with our talent acquisition team. And everything that we are doing, we want to help them. Like the end goal is to help them hire the right people for the right roles. And we've been doing that for 2 years now. So we have, for example, with them, we have a bi-weekly meeting. So every 2 weeks we meet with them, or we go through the list of the hiring priorities in the upcoming period, and set up candidate personas for each of those for us to understand who those people are, where they're spending their time, where they are, if they're juniors, are they at faculty, which faculty. So all those specifics, and we really spend a bunch of time trying to understand that before we move on. So the recruiters and hiring managers for us are really, really important people in this process. They know their roles. They are talking to people a lot directly, so they know what questions are coming up, all of those things. And a bunch of, I think, like we shared some thoughts on LinkedIn as well, but a bunch of our initiatives, like the content, the tactics have come out of those conversations. So usually people would say, oh, like, what do I do? How do I approach this? And I always tell people, like, just talk to your recruiters, talk to the hiring managers, and you will get like so much inspiration from them, so much content. And yeah, for example, we had a series, I think I already shared that, but like we had a series we call My Role at Nordeus, which has come out our conversation with our recruiters. So we realized some roles in gaming are very specific roles. So people might not understand what they're about and what the person would actually be doing on the job. So we realized there were some questions that were repeating, and we put those questions together with the hiring managers and recruiters, and we made this series, which is responding to those questions. And for us, I think for me, there is no better feedback than when our recruiters say that they were getting really good candidates who mentioned that they watched this video and that it helped them prepare better for the interview. And of course, like when we hire somebody who has been to our events, who has watched like all of those things that we did, it's just the best. And the second pillar, I would say, and that is a pillar that we use in our people team, which is like we are putting our people in the middle of any experience that we have at Nordeus. So whether it is employee experience, workplace experience, whether it is workplace infrastructure, whatever it is, we are putting people in the center of it. So we are nothing without our people. So whether it is that we need to hire people, our culture needs people. People live our culture. Whether it is employee advocacy, like we need our people for that. So all the things like we just need our people, and for us they are really really important. For example, the alumni program, you also need your people for that. So that is kind of our philosophy with employer brand currently.
Awesome. So that I understand this correctly, so you've got the overarching goal is to grow to 250, but no bigger, because I understand you want everybody to know everybody, and that's the kind of size of a tribe, isn't it? Everybody kind of knows everybody else in that kind of space. And to do that, you're working closely with hiring managers and the recruiters to understand what the kind of urgent roles are, or the important roles are, and building personas around those roles, and then creating stories or content by interviewing the hiring managers about those roles and about those positions and about people in those positions. And then that is used as content to attract talent in, but also in the recruitment process, so that the recruiters can use that to educate candidates all the way.
So it is a full circle, I'd say, process. But there are so many more things, and we are limited with time. But this was like a really, I think, good example of our philosophy. With hiring.
When you say, so there's other initiatives that you've got as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are so many things that we are doing, but that is one of them that I think really shows this philosophy that we have.
Yeah, I think for most people out there that are starting on their employer brand journey, that's life cycle. If that's all you're doing, that's still going to build up so much volume of content and useful content that recruiters, hiring managers, and candidates that are all going to like, in that process. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, and one thing I would like to highlight, which I didn't mention, but it is about the culture as well. I think that is such an important part of what we are doing, the communicating company culture and values, and trying to show it whatever we can. So whatever we are doing, to keep that in mind. So whether our employees are providing us, as I said, with content, whether they're interviewing, to make sure that this culture is there from even before day one. So from the moment they see your careers page, from the moment they just hear about you, I think that is so important to the day one, to the offer they get, to everything, and that is something to really not forget.
Yeah. I think that culture piece is so interesting, because it's such a nebulous term. Everyone talks about culture, but actually showing your culture through content and recognizing that a candidate needs to see that on a journey, it's so useful.
Yeah, and also I always tell people, as you said, culture is so you cannot put your finger on it sometimes, but when you walk people through the situations. So, for example, I read like a couple of examples, like if your CEO leaves at 4 or 5 p.m. to pick up his kids, then that shows the culture of a company. So always think of the terms that you and the other people in the company are living the culture. And those are just gonna, like, the examples are gonna pop out for sure.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, Maja, we'll book you in another time to go through some of the other initiatives that you've got, but I think that's a really nice and initial baseline there. Have you got time for some really quick fire questions?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. What's your tech stack to help you create employer branding at Nordeus?
For us, like, the most important one is LinkedIn. And I think everybody's going to say that, everybody's going to say that, like, whether it's a company, LinkedIn profile, the employees, we are really, really doubling down on that. Then we use Glassdoor. In Serbia, for example, we only use it for reviews. We don't have jobs option, which is very, very weird. It's been a whole situation. And we use a local job board as well, which is called Jobberty. So it is in the Balkans. I'm not sure if you heard about it. And lately, we've been really focusing on communicating our culture on TikTok.
Wow.
I think we're still experimenting and trying to find our, let's say, safe ground, what is really resonating with our audience there. But we are using it basically for showing this other side, totally informal, non-edited side of our culture. And so far, it's been a really great journey. And I feel like a lot of people in the company were also like, aren't just kids on TikTok? So we had to kind of get over that first initial reaction. And I see some companies doing it, but still I think there's a lot to explore on TikTok. Generally speaking, I would love to hear, like, if anybody in the podcast has any.
Well, the thing is with LinkedIn and TikTok is that the way that they work is that they're so much more discovery orientated.
Yes.
So people will see that content if they follow you or if they won't. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
They're there. So it's a great way for kind of top of funnel awareness. Yeah. And then people can go down the lines. Exactly. You know, Instagram, for example, people used to try and do things on Instagram, but you have to follow the person to see the content.
Exactly.
Whereas with TikTok, people will just discover it if it's in their interest. So that's a really... I'm surprised that more businesses aren't on TikTok, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. But I think there's so much opportunity there.
Yeah, it really does. You know, from a storytelling perspective, I think it's got great great legs.
And then
how are you capturing the content then on TikTok? You know, that you're pushing out on LinkedIn and TikTok. What technologies are you using there?
For LinkedIn and TikTok.
Yeah, so like if you're putting out videos, are you coaching people about how to use their phones, or are you getting people to record calls over Google Meet or Zoom or something like that?
So we are basically in the office most of the time. So we are able to just grab our phones and do it. Yeah. But we do have like our employee advocacy program that we're working on, and like holding some workshops to teach people how to basically just do it. So to teach them the importance of building their personal brand and then helping the company brand. But we are trying to keep it on TikTok very informal, very let's say low effort, because I think that content goes better. Like what we found out, it goes much better than when it's super everything is amazing, polished. It just doesn't. I think it doesn't work for us. It doesn't work on TikTok.
No. And most people's day-to-day work interactions aren't perfect. It doesn't look wonderful. It should look and feel as close to work as possible.
But for LinkedIn, I think for LinkedIn, it is more polished. look, definitely for us, like we have our video team, so that the production is much, let's say, higher quality. But then, like for me, like what is just crazy is when you put like so much effort into having like a super like high quality edited videos that you put on LinkedIn, and then you do something like it takes you 30 seconds to do it for TikTok, and then it blows up on TikTok, and then on LinkedIn it is nothing. You're like, come on, like what is happening? So I think it's just like they're totally different platforms, and testing, trying out things is so important for each of these.
Yeah, like as you spoke about the personas earlier. Like it's figuring out where the personas are online. Yes. And then telling the story where they are. There's a whole podcast in that, Maja. Maybe we'll talk about that when you're back and you're TikTok famous.
I wish.
Okay, next question. What's your most recommended book to a new recruiter or someone that's just interested in employer branding?
So I usually like to start like internally, so from the company, like in the company, let's say. And one of my favorite books ever is Powerful by Patty McCord. So she was a former chief talent officer at Netflix.
Okay.
And she really talks about culture in a like straightforward, like a way that just makes sense. And when I read it, I was like, wow, this is like the best. And like, it's just so practical. And there's no, it just makes sense. It's like so straightforward. And I recommend it to everybody. And one more, can I add one more?
Yes, of course you can.
Okay. And the other book that I would recommend, and I think a lot of content by him is by James Ellis. Probably, you probably heard of him. So he has like things for everybody's liking. He has newsletter, a podcast, a book. He's, I think, holding a lot of presentations. So he's also very, very good for starters.
Yeah, I think he's got some great content on the employer branding side. I haven't heard of Patty McCord's book, though. I'll certainly add that to my reading list there, Maja. Thank you ever so much for recommending that. And I'll put links to those so people can check them out in the show notes as well. And finally, who's an up-and-comer in recruitment or employer branding that you think we should be keeping an eye on as a future star? Apart from yourself.
Oh, I wanted to say you.
Me? No. I'm old. I'm shining a light on other people. Who else should we shine a light on?
So I wanted to say James Ellis, but I think he's kind of a little like he has established himself in this space. But I'm not sure. Like I'm going actually on Thursday. This Thursday I'm going on this local employer branding festival. They also have a international day, like a global day. The festival is called Ample. Probably you've heard about it. So I'm hoping to find somebody there, like the new stars.
Wonderful. So well, when you come across new people, I think it's incredible seeing what you've done at Nordeus. From working there in 2017, but only starting in employer branding recently. And the kind of workflow that you've built up and the body of content that you've been able to build, and you're obviously very plugged into talent and marketing and the hiring managers, and it's exactly for a company of 180, you think there's so many other companies out there that size that aren't even thinking about employer branding at the moment. So I think anybody listening to this about thinking about starting that journey, I think there's some great nuggets of how you would approach this and how you would go about building out your employer branding there. What's the best way if someone's listening to this and they want to hear more about what you're doing? What's the best way for people to follow you online or maybe reach out and say hi?
Definitely LinkedIn. Like I'm posting some, like sharing some knowledge there as well. So you can find me on LinkedIn and Nordeus as well. And that's
fantastic.
That's pretty much it.
I'll put a link to your LinkedIn below then, so people can reach out and say hello because they heard about you on the podcast.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Maja. It's been wonderful. Have a great day.
You too. See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.